This is Feather. I'm going to call Feather down to my hand here. As you take a look at him, I want you to notice what he does as he's sitting on my hand here. You see how he's holding out his wings and he's really fanning out his tail? Well, this is a really natural behavior. It's called mantling. And what mantling means is that Feather's trying to hide his food from predators. Now, you might be looking around and thinking, well, I don't see any predators out here. But take another look because it's all of you. He doesn't know that you don't like mice. At least I hope you don't like mice. But Feather doesn't know that. So he's hiding that mouse so you can't see it. And you're not tempted to come up here and food. And if you think you're going to steal his mouse, I do believe that Feather has something he'd like to say to you about that. What do you want to say, buddy?
Don't think about it, cowboy.
Oh my goodness, I apologize. I didn't know he was going to be so mean about it, but you get the idea. When it comes to their food, we're going to see if he wants to head off stage, and off he goes. But you get the idea. You want to keep your distance. Bird of prey mantling something out there. But my name is Melinda, and I'm part of the Animal Ambassador team here at the zoo. And today I'm going to show you several different types of birds that we like to call birds of prey. But before we bring any more out here, just let me remind you that this is a free-flighted show. So as you've noticed already, you see these platforms up here. The birds do like to zip pretty close to your heads, so don't let them catch you off guard. I don't want to spook anybody. And also, we have trained our birds to do some pretty fun behaviors, but there's one thing that we've never truly mastered, and that's potty training. What can I say? So if one bird flies out and happens to, what, in your hair, don't worry about it. It works like conditioner, so it's not a big deal. So with that being said, let's get things started and bring some more birds out here. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Now this is an owl species that's very common here in Florida. It's one of the most common ones, in fact. And his name is Morty. He's called a great horned owl. Now in just a minute, Morty's going to do some flights for you today. And as he buzzes over your head, I want you to notice not only how low he likes to fly, but also how quiet he is when he does it. So up he goes. So we're going to have him do one or two more flights for you over your heads. We're going to have him come over here, and over he goes. And then we're going to have him fly back down to me. And once he comes down here, I'd like to tell you why Morty lives in the zoo. Now this is an owl species, as I said, they're very common in Florida, so there's a chance that you've seen one before. But Morty lives at the zoo because, unfortunately, he was a troublemaker out in the wild, but it wasn't his fault. Let me just explain. We got a call that there was an owl causing trouble in a neighborhood nearby. People were saying that this bird was dive bombing them every time they left the house. We thought, well, maybe they have a big female with a nest nearby and she's being a little protective. And we went to check it out. But when we got there, all we found was little Morty. And he allowed us to walk right up and touch him on the toe. Now, of course, you all know that that's not normal for a wild animal to let you touch it. So we started to ask some more questions and dig a little deeper into the situation. And people finally admitted to us that they had been feeding Morty hot dogs in their backyard. Yeah, not a good idea. Morty thought it was great because every time he went outside or every time people came out, he got a free meal. But it backfired tremendously because he did start swooping at people when they left the house because he thought they were something to eat. And so, let's just take home today, don't feed wild animals. It's really dangerous. He actually knocked the dog down because he squeaked out of his head. So, definitely not something you want to have happen about. But let's move on and take a look at another owl species now. Because, well, Morty is a pretty big bird, and it's the largest owl species that you'll find in Florida, the great horned owl is. There's other owl species out there that can get much bigger. And so we're going to take a look at one of them. But you wouldn't find them here in North America. You'd have to head overseas and go to some place like Europe, Asia, and maybe even Northern Africa in order to see this bird. And this is a bird that we like to call a Eurasian eagle owl. Now, eagle owls get their name because they're so large. Eagle owls are very big, and so they have that very impressive size, which gives them the name eagle owl. But they have nothing to do with eagles. They are a nocturnal owl species. And when you take a look at our eagle owl, his name is Ivan, you're going to see that he's quite a bit bigger than the great horned owl. Now, great horned owls in Florida, what do you think they like to eat? The one that you just saw. What do you think he's going to take down? What do you think? Mice, sure. Now he may take a small mouse or something like that, but he's a pretty big bird, and great horned owls are one of the #1 predators of the skunk of all things. So that gives you an idea of how powerful they are if they can take an animal that is that size. However, eagle owls, they take it a step further. Because they are so big, they can take down even larger prey. And so our eagle owl is known to take down large rabbits, red fox, and sometimes they can take down baby deer and baby goats. And so I always know when Ivan showed up because I hear your gasps as you see him up there. He's a beautiful bird. So we're going to see if he wants to do some flights for you today as well, to show you that even though he's a lot bigger than Morty, that great horned owl, he still flies silently. And if you can imagine him in the wild trying to take down large prey, up he goes. He would need to be very stealthy in order to do it. And he has over a 4-foot wingspan, but yet he still flies without making any sound. So we'll see if Ivan wants to come back down this way. Down he goes. Good job from Ivan. Now he does need to go back up on this side because it wouldn't be fair to only fly him on one side of the theater. So we're going to see if he wants to head back this way. And up he goes. And then we'll have one final flight back down to me as he looks around. And we'll see if he wants to come on down here. And indeed he does. Again, a really low flight. That tends to be the trend with birds of prey. They fly pretty low. Now, again, if you see these birds in the wild hunting their prey, as I mentioned, they do like to take those large animals. And in order to take those guys down, they have to be very quick. They have to have really quick reflexes. And so we're going to have Ivan do one final flight off stage for you. And he's going to zip through a hole in the fence. Now, the hole in the fence is about half the size of Ivan's wingspan. And we made it that small on purpose so that you guys could see just how quickly he can tuck his wings in as he zips on out. So we'll see if he wants to head off stage. And off he goes. And right through there. And if he were in the wild chasing down his prey, that would be really important to him, because if these birds were to hit their wings on anything and even cause a minor injury that just made their wings sore, it would slow them down and they might not catch their next meal. So it's very important for them to be able to have those quick reflexes. But we have another bird that I want to show everybody, and I saved one of my favorite groups of birds for next. And this is a bird that tends to be the underdog in the bird world. People don't typically like them because they have a really dirty job to do. They're the cleanup crew out in nature. And who knows what bird is the cleanup crew? What do you think? Vultures. Now raise your hand if you like vultures. That's what I figured. I got like 3 hands up out there. See, I appreciate the people that like them. But I'll tell you what, if you don't think you like vultures, I think our next bird will change your mind. Now, the thing about these birds is that they clean up all the dead stuff out there, and so that's why people are usually grossed out by them, because of what they like to eat. But if we didn't have vultures, there would be dead stuff all over the place. It would stink, it would spread disease, and it would be a real mess. So vultures do us a huge favor by taking care of all that stuff that we don't want anything to do with. And in Florida, we have 2 kinds of vultures. We have turkey vultures, which have the red head and the brown feathers, and then we have the clown of the vulture family, which is the black vulture, and hopefully our black vulture will make his way out here today. He's been a little tricky lately, kind of only likes to do 1 show. So we're going to see if he wants to do a second show today. He was in our morning show, so we'll see what he wants to do. But again, the 2 types of vultures that we have here, the turkey vultures, you see them quite a bit. You see them a lot at this time of the year because they migrate south for the winter, and then you see the black vultures here year-round as well. And I see a lot of you guys looking up in the trees. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there a bird? Oh, well, we got one bird sitting over here. Here he comes. Here's Smedley. So we're going to let Smedley come on out. He's going to bounce around a little bit. And vultures like Smedley, you can see he's pretty cute. Now you got to admit that's cute. Even if he eats dead stuff, it's still pretty cute when you see him hopping around out here. And this is what you typically see on the side of the road. Now, he has a bald head for a very specific purpose. All vultures do. And what do you think that purpose is? Why are vultures going bald? Anybody know? Why do you think? When they dig inside of a carcass, that's right. Because vultures like to eat the good stuff. They eat the heart, the lungs, the intestines, and all the yummy insides. And in order to get things like that out of a dead animal, you got to stick your head way deep down inside of the carcass and pull it out. So you can imagine if he did that and he had feathers on his head, he would pull his head out, he'd have blood and guts gooped all up in his feathers, and it would be really messy. So the bald head keeps a vulture clean. And if you ask me, it's a great adaptation to keep them around. And here at the zoo, as we say bye to Smed, we must say that we think bald is beautiful, and we took on a really fun conservation project to help out some of Smedley's cousins over in Asia that aren't doing so great. We made bumper stickers that say bald is beautiful. It's got a great little picture of Smedley on it, and for $1 or more donation, you can have one of the stickers. And all of the money that we raise, it goes to support the Asian vulture crisis, because right now, over in Asia, in certain parts, they've actually lost about 90% of their vulture population, and it's a really big deal. They call it a crisis because vultures play such an important part in the ecosystems today. Without the vultures out there, there's been a huge increase, of course, in the number of carcasses that are laying around, which spreads disease. There's also an increase in the feral dog populations, because the feral dogs have all this leftover carcasses to eat without the vultures being there to do it. So the feral dogs are skyrocketing, and with those dogs means there's an increase in rabies. And India right now has the highest number of rabies cases in the world in humans, and it's directly linked to the fact that there are no vultures. And so it just goes to show how we're all connected and why it's so important to protect those species. But we do have another bird that I want to show you, and our last bird is one that's pretty special to us. And before we bring him out here, I want to see if you can guess what he is just by listening to a couple of bird calls. You guys ready for a game? You want to play Name That Call? Think you can do that? You up for it? Yep. All right, so we're going to play 2 calls for you, and I want you to take some guesses and tell me if you know what they are. So first, take a listen to this first call and tell me what you think it is. Take a listen. Can you guys hear that? I know it's really soft. Did you hear it? Yeah. What is it? What do you think it is? Anybody know? What do you think? An eagle? What do you think? A cricket. It sounds like crickets, doesn't it? It is. It really does sound like crickets. All right, you're going to laugh when you find out on what it is. Let's take a listen to another call and see if you can take another guess. Take a listen to this one. There we go. Eagle. Everybody yells out eagle. Well, the funny thing is, this young man that said that first call that you thought was crickets, said that he said it was a bald eagle. It's true. That first call that you heard that sounded very high-pitched and squeaky wasn't very majestic at all. It's the call of a bald eagle. The second call that most people think is a bald eagle, it actually is a red-tailed hawk. And Hollywood guys, they play that red-tailed hawk call in their movies. They play it during desert scenes and Grand Canyon scenes, and 9 out of 10 times they show you an eagle on the screen when they play that call. And the reason they do that is because if you picture that beautiful canyon with the eagle soaring over, it looks so proud and beautiful, and then they were to play chirp, 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 sounds like crickets. Yeah, it really doesn't help them at all. It does not have nearly the impact that they were hoping it would. So they dub in that red-tailed hawk call to make an eagle look better on TV. But I don't want to downplay a bald eagle because there certainly is nothing wimpy about them. So we're going to take a look at one of our bald eagles today, and his name is Cyrus. Cyrus is a 19-year-old male bald eagle. And anytime that you see a bald eagle in a zoological setting like this, there's going to be a good reason for it. Cyrus lives at the zoo because he has a problem with his beak. He was born with a birth deformity. His beak is very short and curved. And over time, as it grows, the top grows under the bottom, and it locks his mouth shut. So in the wild, sadly, Cyrus would starve to death. So that's why he has to stay here at the zoo. And what we do is every other month or so, we file that back so that he can close his mouth and get his food properly. Now, the thing about Florida is that we do have a huge population of bald eagles. A lot of people don't realize that, but we have the second largest population of bald eagles in the world behind Alaska. So you have a really great opportunity to see them out in the wild, which is really cool, considering that it wasn't that long ago that they were considered to be a critically endangered species. But all of the conservation efforts that were put into place to protect them, they worked. And so now their numbers are doing really well, and you can see these birds on a regular basis. But when you look at Cyrus, how many of you look at him and think that he's kind of small? Anybody? No? Maybe? Yes, no? I see some hands going up. Well, I'll tell you what. Cyrus, he is kind of small, and that's for 2 reasons. Number one, he's a southern bald eagle, and here in the south, all of our wildlife tends to be much smaller in size because of all the warm climate. But the other reason that Cyrus is a little on the smaller side, well, I hate to get on your bad side, fellas, but in the world of birds of prey, the females are bigger, they're find that you may be looking at the same pair every single year returning to that nesting site. And when they add to their nest, they get really big because eagles live a very long time. They can live upwards of 50 years in a setting like this. In the wild, they're known to go 30s and 40s. And so when they return to a nest for 40 years, you can imagine it's going to get pretty heavy because they keep adding to it. And the biggest bald eagle nest on record was found over in St. Pete, and it toppled the tree that it was in. Scientists waited once it was on the ground, and it turned out that it was almost 3 tons, if you can imagine. So it was estimated they had been using that nest for between 30 to 40 years, so pretty impressive. But with that, we're going to open it up to you guys now. And if you have any questions or if you want to see some of the birds up close, feel free to come on down. You can take pictures and ask away. If not, you're welcome to head out and enjoy the rest of the zoo and have a great day out there, everybody. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you. How big did they get? Well, sorry.